Good morning, team. Welcome aboard to our morning note. My name is Carlos Garcia. I'm the founder and CEO of GAR Capital. It is Monday. Happy Monday, August 26th, 2024. Last week of the month. Glad to have you on board. If you are new here, make sure to hit that like button if you like these videos. Turn on notifications. Subscribe to our channel. Really do appreciate it. Did a video last night. Make sure to check that out. That was our weekly recap. If you had any questions today, just maybe may have been answered in that video as well. So if you want a little more context, make sure to check out that video. That's also was simulcast on the podcast. We actually have a daily podcast on Spotify. Just search GAR Capital, and I'm in there every day talking about the recap of the market and previewing the futures trade overnight. It's a quick listen. I try to keep it between 10 to 12 minutes. So, it's a car ride drive of a listen. Nothing too crazy. All right. I don't want to bore you guys to death. Anyways, good morning. Quick reminder today in the UK, the stock market is closed. The FTSE stock market in London is closed for a bank holiday. So for those watching from England, enjoy your holiday. But here in the United States, markets are open. But next Monday is Labor Day. The market is closed. So keep in mind, next week is a short week, and we're going into one this week. So full week this week. But again, reminder, Monday, the market is closed. Glad to be with you. All right. Questions, make sure to type it in the comments or the little chat box there. Appreciate that. I'll get to all of them as soon as I can. Let's go around the horn. Dow futures are up 76 points. The Nasdaq's down 0.13% this morning. NVIDIA earnings, we know Wednesday after the bell. S&P 500 futures are green, 5660, up 0.13%. That's probably due to energy stocks. Crude oil is up 3.19% on possible fears of some issues with Syria and possible refineries going offline. That's what I've read this morning from Reuters. That is trading at 77.21 a barrel. You can see it on the top right corner of my screen. Russell 2000 futures, small cap summer. We talked about that on the video yesterday regarding IWM. Of course, it's up today. 2245, up 0.80%. 10-year treasury yields down today. 27 basis points, 33.78% this morning. Dollar index is up 100.82. The VIX is smidge below 16, but up 0.82%. We talked about crude, yet gasoline is only up 1.35%. That's $2.31 a gallon. 25.58 for gold futures. Even with the dollar going higher, we've talked about how things can change for commodities on our server regarding lower rates. I also talked about it on Friday. So gold is going to keep going up. The question is how to trade it. If you own gold, awesome. But at the end of the day, anything that's priced in dollars, commodities wise, other than maybe crude, because that's a little more geopolitical and supply and demand. But for the most part, anything priced in dollars, yes, crypto, yes, Bitcoin, will move higher relative to a falling dollar due to lower interest rates. So this is not a surprise. Do not be surprised that gold goes higher when the Federal Reserve prints money, does stimulus, cuts rates, whatever. Gold's going to go higher because the dollar itself, the supply of money is increasing while demand is relatively the same, unless that changes. But in that aspect, the dollar will fall further. We're still just testing 100. We haven't even broken that yet. And we will because we haven't even cut yet officially. That'll happen in September. Silver futures up 0.45%. Let's see if silver finally breaks above 30. We'll keep an eye on the metals. Keep an eye for any kind of volume around the September time. Remember that. September is when the expectation of the rate cut. So expect SLV, GLD, copper, anything commodities related. That's not crude oil. Crude oil is in its own world in that sense. But with that being said, gold, silver, copper, all those commodities are going to gain in value because they're dollar dominated and the dollar keeps falling. Just remember that. And crude being different because, well, the United States has strategic petroleum reserve. We don't have a strategic reserve of gold that I know of that we're just going to let, just unleash in the market, or silver or copper that I know of. It's usually just crude oil. Crude oil is up today, but it's still below 80. It's still in a downward trajectory. So if anything, you're probably selling the rips. You're not quite yet on a death cross on crude oil, but that is coming. So I do expect crude oil and gasoline to continue to fall. I think you sell the rips unless there is some geopolitical issue. Good luck timing that. Let's see. Forex land, the only thing that stands out, euro dollar down 39 pips, 111.53, 144.01 for the dollar yen. Yet the dollar index is up. Interesting. Yen getting a little love here. 63,720 for Bitcoin futures, pretty much flat, and 2726 for Ethereum. That's down 1.12%. All right, that's where we are. Good morning. Good morning. Let's answer some questions here. First one on the board for the ticker is Nike. Now, Nike, we have to stretch out the period here and look at this. This main trend line from what, 2008, I assume? 2008, so pretty much the worst of the financial crisis, that trend line actually held up right around the 68 area. It is bouncing back, but as we have seen before many times on these names, they get short-term bounces, kind of attracting the buyers, but the trend is still not in place yet for more upside. So let's look at the daily. You got a gap to fill here at 92.93. I think that you need to fill that first before anything happens. And yes, we've seen many beaten up stocks that have bounced. PayPal, Starbucks, Target. So yes, there's some value there, obviously. But again, you want to confirm. You don't need to be the first one there. I think a lot of traders and a lot of investors want to be the first one in. And Warren Buffett said it best: don't test the depth of the ocean with both feet. 1 foot at a time is fine. Let's see if we get that gap fill. We'll put an alert there at around 93.12. Let's let the buyers prove to us that, hey, the worst is possibly over for Nike. Yes, we bounced off a trend line, but I'm not that excited about it quite yet. Let's see how much more it goes. Maybe we get a little hedge fund chatter. Maybe you get some activist investors who want to shake up the board. Maybe. Can't really predict that. We got that. Starbucks got a new CEO. Target's getting a turnaround now. We saw their earnings. They still haven't broken out quite yet. But again, a lot of these names that were beaten down, PayPal as well, are starting to bounce. And it's no secret, when we get lower rates, these names will bounce. Nike will benefit from lower rates because now you're giving cheaper money, access to liquidity to consumers with lower rates, of course. So maybe more sneakers. Good morning, Carlos. Thoughts on Home Depot? Home Depot, the retailer, another one with low rates that's going to benefit. These banks are going to benefit due to the refinancing, people buying homes because rates are going to be lower. Let's see how much lower we get. But Home Depot will be a primary beneficiary since now maybe home equity lines of credit will be cheaper. Next target in terms of resistance is right around 390. I don't see any kind of expectation of options or anything like that, any kind of big volume. But I could see us getting back to around the 395 area. Absolutely. Probably after, we get that lower interest rate or cut in Fed funds rate kind of digested in the market. Just be careful the day of the cut, depending on how much it is in September. It's between 25 and 50. It could be sell the news. Usually happens. You get the run up into the actual number, the expectation, and then they sell off. So that's just day trading back and forth. But I like Home Depot long. Qualcomm IWM. Yes. Qualcomm just chopping here. It is down about 50 cents this morning. We're still expecting a break of 176.71. So right now it is just shopping around for now. And IWM pre-market is above 220. I fully expect 225 to come. I want to position myself to get in. Let's see the volume as we move throughout the day. We move throughout the day. Excuse me. Morning, Carlos. What kind of numbers would NVIDIA have to put up to justify a 3 trillion market cap? Well, I don't know exactly what the expectation is as of yet. I haven't read the exact report, but really the expectation would have to be that NVIDIA has like doubled its sales or tripled its sales with keeping the margin intact, because that's really where where it shines, where it gets that 3 trillion valuation, is that they really have pricing power. And not many companies do, but they do, because the demand is so strong for their processors and their chips and what have you, and their products, is that they're in charge of what they charge, of how much they can charge to different companies, and the capex that these companies have to create this kind of environment to buy from NVIDIA. That's kind of the only kind of worry, is the fact that if these major companies reduce capex spending, they start laying off people. Again, that's very, very possible. Then NVIDIA would get hurt. But as of right now, I don't think anyone's expecting that NVIDIA misses their earnings. I think it's more of the question is, does it exceed the expectations enough to justify a big move? And we've had it many times. NVIDIA tends to just being in a league of its own. But to justify a 3 trillion valuation, they have to have double the sales or even triple the sales while keeping the gross margin intact. You can't just get more volume in sales by lowering prices. You got to get the margin. That's really what investors are looking for. Do they still have pricing power? Can you still, in a sense, price gouge? In a way. Welcome to capitalism. Good morning, Carlos. Thoughts on TGT? All right. Big boost after earnings on Target. Like I said, it hasn't broken out anything. Great that it had a great earnings. That's good. Thumbs up for that. But we need 182 before we get anywhere excited on Target. It is at a death cross. The 200-day is above the 50-day. So this is actually a bearish chart. If you look at it, there is a downward gap to fill from earnings right around 148.83. And it was great guidance. It wasn't a bad quarter. It was actually a great quarter. The question remains in terms of the stock and pricing, where do we go? 182 would confirm the breakout because that was the peak that we had in April. Could lower rates also help the consumer? I mean, that's something that we'd have to see as we go. We're not going to get that in the first day of a rate cut. You have to wait for these cuts to kind of permeate to the system. And that's going to take about at least 6 months to around a year. So, initially, the bond market is pricing lower rates, true. So, we're getting a tick up in mortgage applications and refinances, yes. But for that to go through the economy, it's layers. It goes from, in a sense, top bottom. Then you go into a name like Target. Really, what you're prepping for now with Target is the holidays. Are people going to spend at Target in the holidays? You have Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas being the big one. That's kind of what the market is pricing. Let's see if, the change in the terms or the views of the Federal Reserve can maybe create a little bit more of a spending pattern at Target at brick and mortar. I mean, the only thing with Target that concerns me is that they don't have a great e-commerce platform the way Amazon does. They're trying. Walmart had a great quarter too, but Target, I don't think they're at that point. But so far, so good, at least with the quarter. That's one step. I think that Target pulls back to 148.83 personally. That's just based on the stock. The company, again, needs to show more. That's all. Thoughts on NVIDIA earning play? I talked about that yesterday on the video, and I do expect NVIDIA to move higher. So we go to the daily. We had that 120 gap fill. We're above the 50-day. We broke out of this trend line, 135.67. There's one chart I want to compare this to, and it's Amazon right here, the 200 level. That's what we called in the server the Jeff Bezos wall. You had to break that. It cost me some money to try to play that option. So again, I want to learn from my mistakes. And I think NVIDIA's call wall or its option wall is 135.67. This is just really the peak of the what is this? June level, June 20th. So I believe that we may just tag this area and then just kind of retest back to 124. That's the concern I have. I don't think we just get one green shot up there. That'd be nice. But no, I don't think we get that kind of move. I think the expectations are so large or so high that, even getting to 135.67 gets you back to before the flush. They're just making you whole. I think I would figure that people that bought at these levels at 100 in mid or beginning of August, they're probably going to take their profits there. Doesn't mean they hate it. It's just a trade. Let's see, Microsoft. Microsoft, I have an alert at 426.71. It's at 416, so pulled back, rejected that 100-day. I need that to break first, and then we can target, was it 435? Yep, right here at the 50-day. But we're just not there yet. Mara, yes. Mara is going to bounce with Bitcoin, yes, because of the dollar being down. We got to be careful here because now you're getting close to a death cross here. So we need a big boost at least on Mara to get above 20. So this 50-day can at least move a little higher. We don't want this 50-day moving average to cross below the 200-day. And we're just on a downward channel. So a nice breakout is what we need. Above 20, that's where I get interested. And I think that we can trade this name to right around 22.5. Gets us to this R here from May, June, or May and July here. And this double top, retested breakout and pulled back, choppy, of course. But again, above 20, get me to 22.5. That gets us above major moving averages. It rides Bitcoin higher, which I expect it to because of the lower dollar. Okay. Hi, Fran. Same question. Yeah, we just talked about NVIDIA. I think that's it. All right. You guys had great questions. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope everyone's having a nice morning. I'm going to go ahead and move on from here. I'm going to get started with the day with our Discord members. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I will see you guys on the podcast later today. Make sure to subscribe to that. Have a great rest of your morning. Cheers all.